there, so let's shift focus away from equities and talk about personal finance. What did the budget have for the average investor on the street? Hemant Rustagi of Wiseinvest Advisors joins us now. Hemant, for a small investor, we want to discuss what the positives and the negatives are from the budget speech, but I want to focus first on one particular negative, which is the dividend distribution tax on debt funds for individuals has been hiked to 25%. Tell us about this and how much of a negative it would be for an average investor like you and me.
Well, Sonia, I think definitely Union Budget 2013 is definitely a mixed bag for small investors. But as you rightly mentioned, I think the major negative for small investor is the dividend distribution tax, which has been hiked for the debt fund. Let me just clarify here. First, the debt funds are those funds where the equity exposure is less than 65%. Now, there again, there are two categories of debt funds. One is the liquid funds, where the dividend distribution tax was already 25%. And I'm talking about individual and HUF. Now, for the non-liquid funds also, the dividend distribution tax has been hiked to 25%. Over and above, there is the education cess, and also there is a surcharge which also has been hiked from 5 to 10%. Now, this is a major blow, I think, for the mutual fund industry and also for the small investor. The reason being that we are talking about non-liquid funds here. So you have these ultra short-term funds which are primarily used by even individuals for parking their short-term fund. Now, what typically happens here is that you get higher return compared to the saving bank account, and also the returns are more tax efficient. Now, with this hike in the dividend distribution tax, I think that tax arbitrage has definitely gone. So, especially for the higher income tax payers, for the investors who are on the 10% and 20%, I think what they need to do is to then now go for growth option, so that they pay less than what they will be paying in the dividend distribution tax. But another category of fund which is likely to be impacted here is monthly income plan. Now, these funds are very popular, especially for those who want regular income. Now, what has happened is, whether you are taxpayers or not taxpayers, or you are 10% or 20%, the moment you opt for a dividend distribution, dividend distribution or a monthly dividend or a quarterly dividend, you end up paying almost 28-29% as a dividend distribution tax. So I think this is a major negative for a retail investor in the times where we are expecting them to move away from the traditional options to market-linked products, so that they can fight inflation. I think this is a major negative. But let me also clarify here, it does not impact all those investors who want to invest for the longer term, because there the long-term capital gain is still going to be taxed at 10%. As far as the positives are concerned, I think there are a few positives there for small investor. To begin with, for housing loan up to 25 lakhs, the interest paid on the housing loan up to 2.5 lakhs, as against 1.5 currently, will be exempt from income tax. But also, let me clarify here that this is applicable only if the cost of the house does not exceed 40 lakhs. So I don't think it's going to really benefit much for investors in places like Mumbai. The first thing that, like I said, it has to be less than 40 lakh.
Yeah.
And the second is, it's only for those housing loan which are sanctioned after 1st April.
Right. Yeah.
It is not applicable to the existing borrowers.
Okay.
And in addition to that, I think the scope for Rajiv Gandhi equity scheme has been expanded.
Yeah.
Now, what has happened is that all those investors who have income up to 12 lakh can now invest in this. And another major change there is that earlier it was going to be one-time exemption. Now they can claim exemption for 3 successive years.
Oh,
and another positive is...
well, actually, Hemant, we are running out of time, and there is a guest waiting by to ask his question. Maybe not related, but Mohammad Akram from Bhavnagar has joined us. He has sent us an SMS query, actually. He has 1,000 rupees to invest and would like to know which mutual fund he can buy. Okay, that's a very general open question.
Well, I think clearly it will depend on what is the time horizon. I would say that if his intent is to invest for the longer term for a goal like creating a corpus for children education or retirement, then he can go for a well-diversified equity fund. In that case, he can look at DSP BlackRock Top 100 fund. If it is a medium term, maybe 5 to 7 years, he can look at a balanced fund. There he can look at HDFC Prudence fund. If it is for a short period, say around 3 years thereabout, he can look at either a debt fund or a debt-oriented hybrid fund like Reliance MIP. There, of course, he should go for a growth option, as I just mentioned, that dividend, DDT tax has been hiked, so may not be really useful for him. So I think this is how he needs to decide where the money has to be invested.
All right, I'm sure this is going to be useful for a lot of other viewers as well. Thank you very much, Hemant Rustagi, for joining us with your thoughts. We have to take a break. Waiting by is another important